In this episode of Room for Her, I'm joined by Reanne Murray for a very honest conversation. Fibromyalgia has become a widespread condition with an estimated 1.8 to 2.9 million people in the UK living with it. Yet there is still so much we don't understand about the condition, its impact and the experiences of those living with it. Reanne and I share our own experiences, perspectives and some very strong opinions. But I want to make it clear that these are our opinions and our beliefs, shaped by our very own personal experiences. So please don't take it as medical advice, nor as a replacement for any of the professional guidance that you may be receiving. Within the episode, we also have a very open conversation around mental health and suicide. So a trigger warning comes with this episode. There's a discussion around suicide, suicidal thoughts, and experiences that some listeners may find difficult or distressing. Please take care of yourself and only listen if you feel comfortable doing so. This is Room for Her, a space for honest conversations and different perspectives. It's a space for women to speak openly about their own personal journey. Hello and welcome to Room for Her. Today I'm interviewing Reanne Murray, a physical pain specialist coach. Is that correct? Have I got the phrase right, Darby?
You have got that terminology right. I thought I'd keep it
I've
simple.
nailed it. I know that you do somatic practice and I've watched you, so I just wanted to make sure we got your title correct as it is today.
Oh,
Anyway,
thank you.
to me, you're Reanne. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I'm currently writing a book, so I've been a bit busy this morning, but I've had a breather and yeah, just ready to do this. So thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Do you want to share the title of your book? Have you got one yet?
I'm playing about with lots of different titles, but again, just like the title, it's just like my own title. I want to try and keep it simple so it's easy for people to relate to. But yeah, it's all physical pain focused.
Brilliant. That's the key, isn't it? Keeping it simple so people can relate straight away. They don't want to be Googling, what does that word mean? What does this word mean? We want to keep it simple so people know exactly what they're getting. As they used to say, what it says on the tin.
Yes,
That's,
that's it. As well,
that's,
what was that advert?
oh, I don't know.
Can't remember now. It was an advert, wasn't it? Does what it says on the tin. Can't remember. That's going to bug me now.
That's going to bug me out. It's like, it's not Heinz. It wasn't Heinz, was it? No, no, it does.
No.
No, it'll be. I bet it's a cleaning product. I bet it's that.
Oh, I'll have to Google it later.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Okay. So, Room for Her is a platform for women to speak about their real lives. I'm going to ask you to start at the beginning. I want to know who you are, and I'd like to know who you were before fibro became part of your story.
Okay. Well, it's a long one. We're talking years here. But so I'm
Give us
37
a
now.
synopsis,
Yeah, I'll
We've
break it
not
down.
got 10 hours airtime.
I'll keep it short. So I'm 37 now.
Okay.
I've got two kids, a husband. I was born in the late 80s. So mum, dad, brother, typical, that stereotypical family setup. Um, both two hardworking parents, privately educated, three horses, grew up to have these 2 children of my own. I had a successful business. Well, I have a successful business, a couple of successful businesses now. Married, obviously, like I said, and I've got lots of different groups of friends. Before fibro, I was a regular at the gym. In fact, I am still now, actually. I've gone back to the gym. I used to run a lot of 10Ks before fibro. By all appearances to the outside world, my page was typically Instagrammable. But as we often find with fibromyalgia as a diagnosis, there's lots of layers beneath all that stuff that happens as well. So I then went on, I was completely wiped out by fibro. The tests were all clear as we get that told. But at the time, I could barely stand, I could barely walk, talking was slurred. I had these massive headaches that just used to shoot through me. My brain was often like mush. And I just had this constant cloak of exhaustion. And when people say, often people say, oh, you just slept for 10 hours here, you can't still be tired, but I've never felt anything like it. Like, the majority of my time was spent with my body physically tremoring. I had weak hands, got pins and needles constantly. And I just, like a lot of the time I couldn't stay awake past 7 o'clock. There were a couple of points where I thought, my life is completely over. And the doctors even confirmed it. On a couple of occasions when I refused as well. I'll go into that a little bit later, but when I refused to take the medication that they were suggesting, they confirmed it to me that I would only just get worse if I didn't listen to what I was being told by them. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell, really. Have I missed anything out?
You know, it's going to take forever. I just want to let the people listening know, I'm also a fibro sufferer. I know you know this. And there's so many things that jump straight out to me there that when you're talking about fibro, and it's like, yes, 10 hours sleep, no rest whatsoever. The tingling in your hands, your feet, the numbness, the exhaustion, the changing of who you are. Fibro, it's massive, and it's not widely understood, is it? It's there's still so much work to do, not just for the people who have been diagnosed with fibro, the people who are working with it. You touch on the doctors, the medical system. I'm going to come back to that later. But there's still work to be done there. For me, the best advice that I was ever given was from a physio. It wasn't from anybody else. It was from a physio, and she said, keep taking turmeric and move as often as you can. On your worst day, move as often as you can, because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And that, in my brain, I don't know if somebody's ever said that to you, Reanne. In my brain, it was like, oh no, because they warned me, like they said to you, your life is over. They said to me, you'll end your final years in a wheelchair. And that just inside, I've thought, oh no, I will not. I actually thought, fuck that. No way am I doing that. So
it's like someone putting a match underneath you, isn't it? And you go, oh, not a chance.
Because I used to run like you did. So, there's so much jumped out at me then in that short space of time. But I'm going to come back to the symptoms, because it's very, very clear, isn't it, that the symptoms don't just appear overnight. It takes a long time for you to go, right, okay, this isn't just me being tired. This isn't just me being stressed. This isn't just because I've had a couple of busy weeks. So for you, when was that light bulb moment, that moment that you thought, right, there's something different here. There's something inside my body that really isn't right.
So it was kind of a mix, I think, well, a big thing really. So it's 2020, so I was diagnosed in 2021. In 2020, had this massive like pain in my chest, and literally I thought in that moment I was dead, like I was dying. There was no which way about it. And I just literally woken up, went to move, and my body was just couldn't move. Oh, and there was this crushing pain in my chest. And eventually we called an ambulance, rolled out, the operators like constantly talking to me, like managed to roll out of bed. And when it was during COVID, so obviously everyone was masked, and it was the worst time that you could ever want to go to hospital in your life. And so these paramedics are out and they come to the house, and while they're talking to me, I can't even remember what they were saying, but it resulted in me being referred for psychotherapy. And because they'd obviously seen something that I hadn't, something that I'd missed. Now, when I say I got this massive crushing chest pain wasn't new to me. Like, there was lots of occasions where I'd had chest pain, been on the floor with it, then gone into hospital, been hooked up to an ECG machine. But again, the tests come back. Everything's fine. Everything's normal. And so no one could ever pinpoint what this chest pain was. But that was the moment when they highlighted that I needed to see psychotherapy. I thought, hang up a minute, they're onto something here that I haven't noticed before. And that none of the previous tests, the blood scans, the stool samples, the urine samples, none of that had ever picked anything up. But when they suggested that I needed to go to psychotherapy, I'm like, maybe this could make a difference. And it was just a simple conversation with I'd say it, cognitive behavioral therapist.
Yeah.
And she asked a couple of questions, and I was like, I sort of made the connection there. My mental health and my physical health seem to be linked here. And then from that, I just went with, in fact, no, I didn't go exactly with what I was told, because like I said before, I didn't go exactly with what the doctor had told, but I sort of like proceeded with, they're onto something here, and like this is going to be a change for me. And because as far as I could remember, I'd been in pain for as far as I could remember from being a small child, and first, oh, it's just growing pains. And then when I've got like these, I used to get these excruciating pains in my legs, like where I literally couldn't walk. And my toes would curl and like cramp, and it's like muscle spasms, but it was literally just take me off my feet. And that I could relate to being a teenager. And I'd had it on and off all my life, and like constant trips to the doctors, like for them to just say the same, the tests are normal. So I think I've really always known in my life that there was something wrong. But yeah, it was that moment definitely when I was referred to psychotherapy after that crushing heart pain that I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was dead. Yeah.
I get it. I hear you, completely hear you. You've taken me back to my own diagnosis. Uh, and fibromyalgia is very difficult to explain, isn't it? Because you've got all sorts of different things going on, and medical practitioners, they have a set of regulations, a protocol that they follow. And fibro, when I was diagnosed in 2020, just before we went into lockdown, I was diagnosed in the February, and when I went to see the consultant, fibro was still new to me. I didn't know very much about it. I'd been working with clients who were starting to be diagnosed with fibro, but I didn't know that much about it. So he said to me, "What do you think it is?" I said, "Well, it's possibly fibro, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, or it's something else." And he said, "It done all, like back in." Did you have like the trigger
The
point
score.
test? Yeah.
Yeah, the trigger. I've still got mine, and I came across it In fact, I put it in my book as well. It's like this tatty old bit of paper now, but I've actually got, like visually where I used to feel the pain the most and how frequently. And I've got it all marked on this body silhouette of a body. And
Yeah.
that's something I use with my own clients now, because I think it's so, like, visually to see it, it's so important, isn't it?
Well, this is where I'm going, because maybe at the time he listened to me and he did the trigger points, and at the time there were only 20. I think there are a few more now. You probably know this more than I do, but there was 20 trigger points on the body, and I got my report back, and I think I had. It was either 17 or 19 of the trigger points on my body. But because the pain, this severe pain, and then this pain that you don't recognize because your attention is going to that part of the body, isn't it? So for me, it's the knees, the inside of my knees, and you probably know, and my shoulders. Um, but wow, it's just like, so I was so glad, because for years I've been going to the GP and saying, this is going on. I didn't felt heard, or I didn't felt seen. So I imagine that you absolutely 100% resonate with this.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And what was worse for me at the time is, as well, like, my daughter was born in 2016, and when she was born, she was a really, really poorly baby. Now I know, now that I'm into all the woo-woo side of things, I know that every child is sent to teach you a lesson, and she was sent to highlight something in me that I was missing. And she was a really, really poorly baby. Like, she was in and out of hospital all the time. And every 3 weeks she'd be in hospital. Every 3 months she'd be admitted and would have to stay over. And she had like breathing problems all the time. And it was, so when you say about not being seen and being unheard, if you bear in mind that I'd had this all my life since being young, that you were constantly told there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you.
Absolutely.
And then she's born, and then again she's having these like massive like breathing difficulties, but then discharged from hospital, oh, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. You're just sort of left in that constant searching for an answer. You just want someone to tell you that it's not okay, or just tell you what you're suffering with. But yeah, I mean, I talk to people now all about, like, you don't need validation from anyone external than yourself. You know what your body's coping with, and you know what you're suffering. You don't need that external validation. But when you're in it, I get it. Like, you want that diagnosis, because it means that you're not going mad and it's not all in your head. And there is something wrong with you. That's all you seem to be searching for.
Yeah, there's something not sitting right inside of you, and it is the connection, isn't it, between the brain and the body, the thoughts and the body. And fibro, it, it just changes everything, doesn't it? Absolutely everything, internally, externally, everything has to change. Um, I'm gonna ask you about, because of the way fibro changes and impacts individuals, I'm going to ask you about you, how it felt for you when you reached your lowest point.
You might get a bit emotional on this one.
Only share what you're comfortable with. And if
I'm comfortable with sharing it all. And the reason being is because I wholeheartedly believe now that everything I've endured, every experience that I've ever had in my life has been leading me to this point, and it's to help other people to see their own inner strength, their own power, that they don't need anything external of themselves. So yeah, I'm happy to share it all. So the lowest points,
real empowerment.
The lowest points, when we consider that for years and well, all my life, you'd not been listened to, you've not been seen, and every experience that you have of not being listened to, of not being seen, of not being heard, it confirms that belief in you again and again and again. So I got to the point where on 2 occasions I've tried to end my own life. And I say that I say it so like so flippant, it like it sounds so flippantly comes across now, but I say that as a point of when somebody is at their the desperate point of thinking that their life is worth nothing, it it really tells you something about what that person's suffering inside. um yeah, I'm getting the tears well up now. But I had 2 young children. The second time, Hallie was only very young. She was probably 3 or 4 around that time. And yeah, those were the lowest points, and I haven't ever felt like that um since doing the work that well since starting my whole journey, really, from being diagnosed and being given that label sort of meant to me that there was something wrong with me. But then it was just a journey of figuring out how I come back from that, because fibro didn't steal my life. It gave me more life than anything, because it gave me the opportunity to go deep, and to discover parts of me that I never would have found if I hadn't have started the journey. And it is a journey, because it's like we're hypersensitive, yes, because when you've began at a point where you're like as a child, I was hypervigilant. I became hypervigilant from a very early age, and this is where like sort of the brain science comes in. I was hypervigilant from a very early age, and that has made me hypersensitive. So I do feel emotion. I feel changes in the weather. I hear certain sounds, certain smells I'm sensitive to. And
they're all
being
symptoms,
on
they're all part of fibro.
they are. And it's when you learn to use them in a powerful way, rather than allowing it to limit you and define like who you are. I think it's really empowering. So I feel like fibro has given me it's given me so much life than it's taken from me, because it's allowed me to do so much more than I actually had in like all of the years leading to this point.
So it's given you an understanding of who you are. And
Mm.
instead, you see, there's two things that can happen when you get a diagnosis. There's probably more, but there's two that are coming to mind at the moment. You can either take that diagnosis as part of your power,
Mm-hmm.
or you can become that diagnosis and lose your power,
Yeah.
because you either go, okay, for me, it was there's no way I'm going into, there's no way I'm going to be sitting my years out in a wheelchair, because that's not just who I am. That is definitely
Yeah.
not who I am as a woman. So I took that piece of power and changed it. But for other women and men, because maybe they haven't got the systems in place, maybe they don't have any fight left in them, they just become, don't they? And I
Mm-hmm.
see it time and time again, and I just wish I could go over and say, please let me help you, or
Yeah.
not with
Yeah.
that, or with you probably because there is light and there's life, isn't there? When you start to
Mm-hmm.
understand the symptoms, when you understand your energy levels, when all of that comes into play, it's a really empowering moment. It's a process, an empowering process.
So there's another pivotal moment actually there in my journey, is because when I was diagnosed, I actually applied for PIP, because at that point I was desperate. I was virtually bedbound like most days,
Yeah.
and I thought, if I can't provide for my family in the future, I need the extra support, the extra financial support now to make sure that they're okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I wasn't thinking about me then. I was thinking about their future. And so
It
I
gives you
applied for
breathing
disability.
space.
Yeah. So I applied for disability support. And I remember it took me days and days to complete that application because I was exhausted. I
Yeah.
was wiped out. I didn't have the brain capacity to to think about filling the form in itself. So it took me days. And when I applied, like waiting for this reply, just carried on pushing through as normal. And well, when I got the letter, I remember it coming through the post, and I'm like, just at a point of sheer exhaustion and pulling myself up the stairs. And we've got like quite a big landing upstairs, and it's like in front of this big window. And I just sat in front of the window and I'm opening this letter, and it was rejected. And I thought that was a crushing point for me because I broke down in tears. Like I could literally feel like it wasn't only my life that was over, it was my family's life as well. And that really, really hurt. And I remember thinking in that moment, I was like, this is not going to beat me. And so that's what started my whole sort of doing my own research, doing
That was your catalyst. Yeah.
that was the catalyst for change. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. And you know, you're being very honest here about you feeling at that point of no return. I've been there. I've been there, and I know so many people who will listen to this podcast will have been at the same point. And it's just horrific. You think your life is over. There's nowhere, nobody's listening to me. I'm not being heard. I'm in pain. People think I'm going crazy. I can't provide for my children. I can't even get out of bed. I mean, how many months did you lose to your bed? Because for me,
Oh,
it was at least 6 months in what in
yeah.
one.
Yeah, it was, and it took me a long time to build that strength back up. Even when I'd done my own research and started implementing new strategies, it took me a long, long time, like many, many months to get out of that whole, like being exhausted and having to spend the majority of the day in bed.
How did you do
Luckily
it?
for me, I'd restructured my business during COVID. So I'd went from working over 50 hours a week to only working like 21 hours a week.
Ah,
And I was just managing the business around before and after school. So during that 6 hours of the day, I'd got to myself. And when they say, some people say that COVID was the best thing that happened to them,
yeah.
it was the best thing that happened to me because that's
Did you get your break? You got your rest?
it restructured my business to the point I could actually focus some time on myself, which is something that I'd never ever done. And that's one that, like, when we go on to how freeing COVID has like given me my life back, and the work that I do now, you'll begin to see how all these patterns knit into each other as well. So applying attention and care to myself was something that I'd never ever done before.
This is all new. Everything's new, isn't it? The diagnosis, the lifestyle, the change.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go back to two things here because I think it's important. The PIP and the rest. Okay.
Mm.
I think anybody who has been diagnosed with fibro should automatically be awarded PIP. Doesn't happen, probably won't happen, but I think that because you just explained there how you reduced your working hours. Yeah. If a person is in a position where they cannot reduce their working hours and they have to leave their job,
Mm-hmm.
it can be such a life support. Find out, and the key, you may agree, you may disagree here, but the key, I think, to understanding fibro is at that point when you're diagnosed, if you get your rest, then if you're able to say, here's what I've been diagnosed with, I need 12 months, at least 12 months to build my energy levels up, to get my awareness of who I am, what I'm becoming, what I've missed, where I'm going, and start that journey.
Hmm.
If everybody was given that 12 months of rest, I think they'd improve a little bit quicker, maybe, instead of having to carry on with their daily roles of, you know, getting out of bed, dragging themselves to work. I
Hmm.
know somebody who recently left work. They actually had to, and they were so afraid to walk out of the job. They had the diagnosis. They've had the diagnosis for about 8, maybe 10 years, but they've kept on going because they've been told if they walk out of the job, they're not entitled to any benefits. You know, I know, but
It's
they've got
awful.
full-blown fibro. Across the years, they reduced their working hours from full-time to part-time to a couple of hours, and they were exhausted. I was just looking and thinking, do you know, if only you had 12 months, just, I mean, some people need more, some people need less. It depends on the severity. But, you know, what do you think about that?
So
Should we run for...
should we hijack the healthcare system? I agree with you, and so there's 2 points to this.
Absolutely.
So I'm not a fan of labels. In fact, I absolutely hate labels. ADHD, fibromyalgia, ADD, whatever they've got out there, I hate labels. Like, I don't think that we should slap a label on it and box people in. So they don't need a diagnosis. As soon as you go to that doctor and say, Doctor, I'm experiencing this, they should be able to offer you a solution. And I believe that we need to get back to holistic care being the first priority. Like, no pills involved, like, get back to nature. If you haven't walked outside and put your feet in that ground, I'm not gonna any more attention to, like, what comes next. You're not going to be given a pill.
I am
um
100% behind you here.
it blows my mind. In fact, no, it doesn't blow my mind, because it's all about this. It's all about money. And I watched a video today on Instagram, actually. There's a guy in Jamaica, and he was saying, I can't remember what he was talking about now, stomach bloating or something like that. But again, a symptom of fibro. See, I say fibro like this because I don't like the label. Like, I think there's such a vast array of symptoms that can also be linked into other conditions that are other labels.
But it's
um
useful for some people. It's
it
useful.
is
It's a
useful.
starting point. That's
It is.
because
And that's what it should be used for.
exactly, because this is what I'm saying. For some people, it empowers. For other people, getting that label, it disempowers them because they go, right, I have fibromyalgia. This is how the world expects me to be.
And it
So,
becomes their identity.
exactly. Yeah. I knew this
Yeah.
was going to be a good
It
interview.
was like, it's like anxiety as well. Like, I know plenty of anxious people,
Yep.
and they'll say, oh, it's just my anxiety. No, anxiety is not your identity. You are
No.
anxious, but why are you anxious? And this is why, like, when we go further through this interview, you'll understand why I'm so passionate about talking to your body and where the places that it can take you, and how people can begin to start talking to their bodies every day.
Yeah.
So I really wholeheartedly believe that when you were saying about giving them temporary PIP, that would be an important place to go, because the first
Absolutely.
thing I say to my clients is stop everything,
Yep.
and let's strip it all back down, because this process is about you slowing right back down, getting the root for us to get to the root cause of every single pain, because pain is actually your protection. It's
Yep.
your body signaling that there is something that you need to pay attention to internally, or whether it's a belief, whether it's a pattern of behavior. There's something that you need to pay attention to, that pain is signaling for you. It's actually cushioning you. It's stopping you from doing something.
Yeah,
And
it's
so that's
protecting you
why I
from
find it
feeling. Yeah.
so interesting. It's
Yeah.
so interesting. So
Absolutely.
yeah, strip it back, give them temporary PIP, give them the time to just stop doing everything that they're doing. Send them to me. I'll clue them up in I'll clue them up, and then they're off to fly in then, and then they can do
And then they
whatever
can
job that they
live, they
want to
can
do.
breathe again.
They
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. You
That's what it's
see,
all about, is getting your life back.
There's a fine line. Well, there's some research recently, isn't there? There's a lot of research, not some, there's quite a lot that is pointing the finger at trauma being the instigator of fibro.
Yeah.
And at the time of my diagnosis, I was actually a weight management specialist working as a
Mm.
CBT practitioner, and the clients were being diagnosed with fibro, but they were. Oh, if I go into that, I'll be here forever, Reanne. I'll be here forever. But I was seeing, what was going on within the medical profession. So just coming back to you and your body, what do you think? Do you know, you might actually know the answer. What was your body trying to express to you through the pain?
So I've gone through that many layers. I know everything now. Like, I'm an open book. So I know myself inside out now, which I spent a lot of the time trying to figure out. So a lot of my pain related to, like when I say about my legs in particular, that all related to, and it came to surface quite early on in the journey as well, that all related to an experience where I was a teenager. I, as I say, mum, dad, brother, happy family. My mum and dad have always had quite a tense relationship. My mum's never made it a secret that I was an accident child. They stayed together for the sake of the children. So as you can imagine, atmosphere wise, although there was no physical there was no physical violence involved, or abuse or anything of that nature, it was always quite a tense environment. There were words exchanged, looks that weren't quite. So I, as a child, I learned to stay in high alert, and this is where the neuroscience comes into play. I was all, I learned that from a very young age. And then I've uncovered one thing in my whole, like, sort of trying to discover where certain things come from, that was buried quite deep in my subconscious. Now, those events aren't quite clear, so I don't discuss those particularly. An event that happened when I was about 5 or 6 years old. The actual facts can't be, like, sort of confirmed as it was now, because obviously I'm 37 now and just discovering all this out. But there was something that happened around that time that then instilled a belief that then carried on through later in life, and it also related to physical pain within the body. Now, my legs related to an experience where I was a teenager. My mum and dad had split. My dad he found it very hard to cope for the fact that they were splitting, and my mum was serious about it this time. She put her foot down, and it was a really, it was the best thing that could have happened. But one night he decided that he'd had enough, and he attempted to end his own life. And me as a teenager stepped out into the hallway to witness that event. And as a teenager, I couldn't fully process at that time what was going on. Suddenly, and I saw my dad in a very different light. So I'd lived as daddy's little girl, as everyone would describe me, up to seeing like this strong male figure in your life suddenly reduced to tears and can't cope, basically. And then attempting to end his own life. So as a teenager, I could not figure that out. I've buried it very deeply. It was buried very deeply in my subconscious, but that was the physical pain in my legs. Now, around that time, my mum was also working down in London a lot, and my dad was left in sole charge of like me and my brother, and like doing all the things that you do when you're raising kids. And so he felt the pressure. Now, I've done a lot of forgiveness as well, because obviously he has his own stuff that he was dealing with. So none of this is about blame or like, you did this to me, because it wasn't anything he did to me. It was just the fact that this happened and this is how it affected me personally. And the way that it affected me personally is when my mum was working away, he expected me to step into the role of mother sometimes, and like look after my brother, do his dinner and do this for him, do that for him. And we came at loggerheads, like we used to butt heads like there was no tomorrow. And being a stubborn teenager, like, and being quite well looked after as a child up until this point, it was like, well, why am I expected to suddenly like cook a dinner for a child that's 5 years younger than me, and why am I expected to? So I can just totally see now how my attitude, because obviously I've got a teenager of my own as well, I can see how that attitude would have just made us clash all the time. So there was fights, there was arguments, chasing me up the stairs and you're so ungrateful and all that. And when he attempted to take his own life, in that moment I created the belief that I always have to put others first above myself. I always have to put others first, because if I don't, bad things will happen and people get hurt. Yeah. So that was my leg pain. Like it was stopping me from going with the things that I wanted, from physically stopping me from moving forward for that very reason. And I mean, it's a long story, but it's a long story that actually cemented a lot for the way that I went on to do things like later on in life. And don't get me wrong, that belief has served me well in other aspects as well, because I have a great childcare business, really well known. Kids are really happy. But also it led to me having, like 2 breakdowns on the back of that, because I was working over 50 hours a week as well. So it works in swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like sort of a foundation one really, but it just, I don't have any pains in my legs anymore, which is the be all and end all of the story, which is the greatest thing on the side. You
started your neural pathways out there.
And once you rewire it and reframe it, it no longer needs to hurt anymore.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, it's all about connection to the belief, the emotion, and then repatterning that conscious thought behind, that repatterning those subconscious patterns that then have obviously led you there. And once you have, it's like pain just needs to let go. It can soften.
How do you do this with your clients?
So a lot of it can be referred to as inner child work.
Yeah.
Reading into the body. I'm a somatic coach, so obviously it's all to do with being with the body. Although we can, talk it through a conversation, or I use breath work so either conversational or subconscious breath work as well, conscious connected breath work, to access the person's subconscious. And then I just ask certain questions, like before we have a session, we'll break it down. So we'll see your pain. So say you mentioned knee pain before, so we were like, right, what knee is it? What knee is it? Is it the right? Is it the left? How would you describe that pain? We'll drill into it, like what are the beliefs you tend to tell yourself when you get that pain? Like how does it affect you day to day, or is it only on occasion? What are the emotions behind it? And then we just tap into the body and connect with the emotions, the feelings, the beliefs, and see what comes up. And it's so exciting because it's so far below our conscious level of thought that it's often hard to describe to people, because it's so, you have to actually experience it, because it's so below your conscious level of thought. You might know what the problem is, you might think you know what the problem is, but actually it stems quite deep. And it goes back quite far. I mean, and this is where all the woo-woo side of things come in, and like different people's beliefs, but I've been back to some experiences like in past lives and things like that, because of the depth that I've gone. And talk to me like 5-6 years ago about any of this stuff, and I would have thought you were absolutely crackers. But once you've actually felt it, there's no denying it. Like it's incredible.
Absolutely,
it's incredible. I remember it's what, sorry?
It sounds like, although we have different labels, different titles, the stuff you do is quite similar to me because I've shifted CBT from standalone and I embed that into the hypnotherapy. Present day regression is great. It's a really positive thing when I'm working with a client because regardless of whether it's fibro, trauma, or whatever it is they're going through, throughout our lives, because every day we've got something going on. We've got this to do, we've got that to do, and we're not always present. And we remember the big goals, the big achievements, like getting the degree, learning to drive, but we miss so much in between. So present day regression, when for me, it really enables the client to start seeing, well, actually, this is, what, this is who I am. This is who I am already. I don't need any work on that area, which is, it's great for the mindset when you start kicking in the positive mindset and then sending the signals down. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're going.
Many people.
Go
Sorry,
on.
you carry on.
I was just going to say here, nervous system regulation and breath, game changer, absolute game changer.
There's so many layers to the nervous system as well, isn't there? Like so many directions that you can take it in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I mean, I wrote an article a few months ago. It was a few months ago now, and it was like you're paying more attention to your vagina than you are to your central nervous system. And it was all about people getting designer vaginas. I was just like, I was amazed that people would spend thousands and thousands of pounds on this
There's
designer
no
vagina,
there, darling.
It just made me and all these beauty treatments like lip fillers and eye whatever, like I'm just like, how can people spend an absolute fortune on all of these, making themselves look pretty when they're not actually dealing with what they're feeling inside? Like
it's surface level, isn't it? Surface level. If it makes them feel good, I don't say anything. I mean, I can't really say anything, can I?
Do you have it yourself?
Oh, of course I do, yeah. But in my 20s, I always say I'm going to grow old gracefully. Okay, my girls moved into aesthetics and beauty. She said, "Will you be a model for me?" And I'm thinking, no, not really. But then I had a bit, and I thought, do you know, for me, not for the world. I enjoyed it. I thought,
Makes
oh,
you feel better.
look at this.
Yeah. And if it makes you feel better, then great, but deal with what's inside first.
But this is the other part, it's superficial. It's all superficial. But for me, it is for me. I mean, I was 50 in December. Things change, but I never ever imagined that I would have any work done at all. In my 20s, no chance. The older I've got, I thought, oh, I might just have this, I might just have that. I'm not having it done, I don't do it. But you're referring to the girls who are probably trying to mask what's going on.
Yeah.
And
that are feeling that some people are out there, they're feeling shit and they think that these superficial things are going to help them to feel better, but they do for a time and then they're back to feeling shit again. And just so if they're feeling shit, then sorry, and I shouldn't really swear on this, should I? Be mindful of where it goes.
It's all right. I think if people follow me on Facebook, they already know that I swear anyway,
But it's definitely all about the inner work.
And it's only a form of expression, isn't it? It's just a form of expression.
Well, yeah.
I've lost my trail now. So
sorry.
It's all right.
Throwing you off.
It's going deep. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. But we've got the world of Instagram and Facebook. We've got that. We've got to look the part. And and I'll be dead honest. I used to call Facebook fake book. Yeah. It's not real. But what I've been doing recently, I don't know if you see.
And social media isn't real either. I mean, like I'm telling you, like about past experiences. I had 2 breakdowns where I shut my business completely and then had to rebuild again. During that time, like my Instagram, you wouldn't have known wouldn't have known. You got all the pictures of me smiling here, there, happy quotes, positive affirmations. Like, I've done all of that for all my life. It was only when fibro wiped me off my feet that I really then dug deep. And this journey has meant that I don't go in those dips. I don't have those highs and those lows and those highs and those lows. I'm like this all of the time. It's like I'm bobbing on the water now, whereas before it was out of the water, under the water,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So you've got the
That's
consistency.
exactly what's
That's
changed.
the aim, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's the aim, to be able to monitor, to be able to be consistent.
Inner peace.
Inner peace, yes. Do you think we're talking about consistency here? We're talking about monitoring and learning to live with fibro, learning to live with you know, you'll work with people who have other chronic pain, but specifically fibro. Do you think it can be completely healed?
I don't think anybody can be completely healed, if I'm honest. But what I would say is all of my symptoms, like all of them, I don't get any daily symptoms whatsoever. And I don't get any weekly symptoms whatsoever. And I can't remember the last time I took a paracetamol, let alone a codeine or an naproxen. And those used to be those used to be staple parts of my diet. But I can't remember even the last time I had a paracetamol. And I don't drink anymore either, because again, alcohol was used to numb the pain, to mask the symptoms. Although I wasn't an alcoholic by any means, but you know, alcohol was definitely like a way of masking. It was a form of medication for me. But yeah, like life is totally different. I don't have any single daily pain whatsoever. However, I would say that my body, and this is where I think everybody should be really in tune with their body, because the only time I will ever experience even just like a slightly niggle of pain is when now is because as I'm finding I'm beginning to level up, I'm beginning to do new things and try out new things. And this is why I love visualization techniques as well, for this reason, is because once you start playing around with the next version of yourself, there will always be a part of your nervous system that says it isn't safe, and then pain kicks in to protect you from doing that thing. So every time I get a little niggle now, like so I'll give you a little bit of an example. So rewind a few months ago, I had this like little niggle in the back of my shoulder, and I ignored it. I was so busy like doing things and had lots of things going on, and I just ignored it for a while. And as you know, with fibro, if you ignore your pain, the volume gets turned up so loud that you can't ignore it anymore. So I'd ignored this pain. Now, knowing how much I know about the central nervous system and like all the work that I do, and that if you ignore pain, it gets turned up, I just ignored this pain. It got to the point where, you know, that point where your skin is just burning and it's just nobody can touch it. It just feels like you are on fire. And my whole left shoulder was just frozen and on fire. And I remember my husband, I was like, can you rub some deep heat into it? I just think it's a bit of muscle pain. So he's like, he's rubbing deep heat into it. I'm going, you're burning me. Stop burning me. What are you doing? And he's like, Reanne, literally, I am just touching you this light. And he showed me on my right shoulder, and he was touching me so gently. But again, I ended up in hospital because of that. And then when I actually sat and thought about it, I'm sat in this waiting room, and because I've got fibro on my medical notes, they put me in this separate room. I'm in there. It's got all this classical music on. I've been sat in there. My phone had died as well, so I haven't got my phone as a distraction. And I'm sat in there for an hour, and I'm like, starting to feel all right again now.
Because you've got the space.
Because I've got the space to just breathe and to be. And when I came out of it, I got in touch with like one of the girls that I'd trained with. I was like, can you do a session on me? She did a session on me, and we got to the deep dark depths of why that pain existed in the first place. And it was all to do with, you know, like over pleasing performance wise. And and it just went. So it just goes to show that your body is so intelligent that beyond belief. Like we are literally walking, talking miracles, and it's just helping people to realize that again. So yeah,
Absolutely. Fascinating.
I
Have
tell
you ever
lots of
come across
stories, I'm
parts
afraid.
therapy? Have you come across parts therapy?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
use part. Yeah, I do use parts therapy with what I
Yeah.
do, and I love visualization techniques as well. So I'll always use visualization for people to, experience that next level version of themselves. So yeah, parts and visualization is just, they're massive. They really do well in that inner child work as well. So
Inner
yeah.
child work, absolutely. Inner child work for me, inner child work, present day regression, past life regression, and parts therapy, where you stop.
Hmm.
Well, it's not stopping it. It's where as they say, the angel and the devil can communicate and come to an
Light and
agreement.
dark. Yeah, light and
Yeah,
dark.
that's yeah, absolutely. And it works, doesn't it?
Hmm.
It works,
Hmm.
but it takes time. This is something else. I think it's a really important message. There's not a one size fits all, and there's a journey, there's a process, isn't there? And everything
Yeah.
has to happen. The grounding right at the beginning, learning to be safe in your own body, because if
Trust and safety. Yeah.
trust and safety, if you've and that's going to be in you as a practitioner. Your
Hmm.
client has to be trusting in who you are, because if that's not happening,
Yeah.
there's no work going to take place. No work at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been on here for quite a while now, so
Cool.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. You
we
go
I
ahead.
think we might need to start tying it up, because you and I think we could talk forever. Uh,
We could chat for a lifetime,
we're gonna have
Walker.
to bring you back at some point down the line. I think we are. Just, 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 I want, if you will, for anyone who's listening right now, because this is another, I mean, there's so many important messages, isn't there? But for anyone who's listening now who feels trapped in their body, what would be your advice to them? What would you suggest as their first step?
The very, very first step is take time for themselves. And you'll often hear again and again that people don't have the time, but you do have the time. The time that you spend scrolling, the time that you spend waiting at the bus stop, or traveling on the bus, or getting, in the car, sat in the car. And it's just about being intentional with that time that you've got. So instead of calling in further distractions, instead of flicking through your phone, or listening to the radio, take time to just stop and just be with yourself. And I don't think enough people do that. um there's a free program actually I put together, and it's on the website. You can get it on the website, and it's just 7 days of central nervous system safety. And it is just like you've just said as well, with creating that trust and safety within the body. It's 20 minutes a day, like 20 minutes out of your day, to just sit and just be, and just ask those internal questions, to yourself, to just get there. And then as the more and more things that you start doing, the more and more time that you can implement, and just give that time to yourself and just that self-reflection, you just build up from there. You just build and build and build. And then we can start getting to the deeper stuff, the nitty-gritty, the root cause of everything. But yeah, it's just that grounding, that meditation, the sound healing, like all of that gorgeous juicy stuff. But don't just go to one meditation and think, oh, do you know, I feel great, and then that's it for a week. Do it daily, and just keep building those practices, because it's all about consistency. And when you lose that consistency, you tend to find that you'll tend to spiral quite quickly. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah. I'm
It's
going to sell
great.
myself here. You can head over to my YouTube channel, the Sister Sanctuary, the Sister Sanctuary on YouTube, because I've got two series that are 7 day series. One's
Yeah.
Reiki, for self-love, and you build from there. But that actually part of the Reiki series takes you down to cellular level. Where you start
Hmm.
talking to your body. I don't know if you've ever heard of autogenics, but I was taught autogenics a long time ago when I first studied hypnotherapy.
Hmm.
Autogenics is literally talking to your body, and I link that in with the Reiki. But you've also got the path to growth there as well, Rianne. Maybe we should work together, girl.
Do you know what I
I
was
think you
thinking
got it
that as well?
all. Put me on.
I've just set up a company called the Phoenix Movement, CIC. It's a community investment company, and I'm looking for to attract funding to set up these groups, like group workshops.
Yeah.
And I know obviously you do a lot of group work. But it's to get the funding for people to access this, because one barrier that I come up time and time again is I don't have the money. Now, sometimes that's the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a belief system. It's a
Yeah.
barrier because I haven't got the money to spend on myself. I can spend it on everyone else. I can go and buy my son the latest Xbox, but I haven't
Yeah.
got that to give to myself.
Yeah. It's that
And so
self-worth, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
definitely is. And so if we can get the funding, bear in mind that the healthcare system has screwed us up for a long, long time. I feel like if we can get the funding from the
I'm
government,
wondering if this is going to get banned from YouTube before it even goes live.
maybe. No,
I
but
might have to take
honestly,
some stuff
they,
out.
they are no they're fantastic in some respects, like, and when you're in the depths of despair, you need pain relief. Like, I lived off a concoction of like pain medication for a very long time, but I knew deep down that I couldn't rely on them forever. And I also had a trauma from being a teenager to do with medication that made my belief so strong about not taking it long term. And so yeah, it just instilled that, it just, if we can get this stuff, if we can get the money from the government to put these programs, these workshops in place for people for free at the start, it will encourage them to then continue the journey. We can empower them and inspire them to continue that process.
Yeah,
um
yeah. It's you see, the NHS has got a massive burden at the minute, but it's overrun, isn't it?
yeah,
There's too many
definitely.
people trying to, and there's this, we're still going off on a tangent here, but it's accessing the provision. When people do access the NHS, that they're given like 6 to 8 months before they even get the first appointment.
It's sad.
And for some, very fortunately, they've gone past that point.
Mm-hmm.
I was on some training last week for suicide first aid. Oh, this came up then because it's all very topical. And when somebody reaches that point, it isn't always what they want to do. They don't want to end their life at that point. It's just that they have no. It's an escape. They don't know what to do. They're so overwhelmed. And then if they've got to wait 6 to 8 months, they could be well and truly back on their journey to good mental health there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with others, it could be far too late. And I think the more community groups we have that are accessible, such as your own, what's it? It's tell
the
me again what it's
phoenix
called.
the Phoenix Movement,
The Phoenix
CIC.
Movement. The Phoenix Movement.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it. I think the more groups we have like this, the more accessible. But I could go off on another tangent. We have to get over that stigma as well as of accessing care. That's
Mm-hmm.
changing slowly. I think
And I
you
think
agree with me
it's
there.
definitely time we started to treat the whole person and not
Absolutely.
just giving them stuff that might take the edge off or might help. Because like you said with suicide as well, suicide is an escape. It's just the same as addiction. That is an escape. And whether you're addicted to sex or overworking, or whether you're addicted to meth, it's all the same. Like, what are the beliefs, the behaviors, the patterns that we've fallen into? What are we missing? And it's getting to the core of that. And it's all the same with bringing people back home to themselves. Oh gosh, I get so emotional thinking of all this stuff, because I just know that the difference from where I've been and from where some of my clients have been as well. Like, I had a lady the other day, and she's like, she couldn't get her kids from school without crying because she was in that much pain. And, you know, once you've worked with them to alleviate that pain and seen what they're now capable of doing, it's just, my whole body, that's what makes me tingle. Like, this is what I was put on this earth to do, is to help people see that they are their own healers and to take them through that process. And it's only by doing layer after layer after layer on myself that I'm able to do that, because some of the stories, like most of my traumas are like little T, mid T, but some of the stuff that I've heard people have been through, I just can't, and I bet you hear it all the time, but I just can't comprehend some of the things that people are experiencing, and they're literally carrying the weight of that around with them. It's like, it gobsmacks me every day. It really, really does.
Have you seen the book that I'm a co-author of? Have you seen it advertised anywhere?
Is it the Ladies Empowerment Circle one, or no?
Yeah, it is the empowerment letter. You want to read
yeah.
what was in there. I've dipped in and out. I mean, we've just had the book signing. We've not long had the book signing, and in the weeks leading up to that, we got to know one another. And you know, although we've given a snippet of our lives in that chapter, the stories I've heard, you know, take my hat off to each and every one of them. It's just, and again, another platform to reach more women, to say, hey, you're not on your own. That, you know, you're not doing this on your own. I'm very lucky to be here. Going back, you know, we're speaking about not being on our own. It's coming up to about 16, 17 years now. I was very lucky to have survived my own attempt to end my own life. Extremely lucky. And back then, prior to that actual event, I'd reached out to some women's organisations for support. But because I was a success, I was a manager in an educational department at a big college. Because I was financially independent and I had my own house and I was still taking my children on holiday 2 times a year, there was nothing that they could do for me. And I tell you something, for years and years and years, I battled with my mental health, trying to hold my shit together. I lost everything, everything. My home, my kids, my job, the absolute lot. So yeah, there's a catalyst. There's something, our backstories help us. And that's why I want to help women. It isn't just about being in a one-to-one room. That's where I love doing it. I love watching their journey and helping them go from A to B. But these platforms, it's why you know, the empowerment stuff that's happening through the networking. It's needed. It's needed just so that somebody can go. There's only about that much space before people might not see. There's only a tiny window of space before somebody actually acts on ending their own life. But if we can get to them prior to that,
at that time,
and that can happen at any point. It's not the split second prior, this is what I've been planning. It could be through the connections, like people listening to this today or watching this today.
And another point for you there as well is, this is why I'm so, like, my background is childcare. So I've been self-employed childminder for like 15, 16 years. And that's like what I'd always done before doing this. And this is why, like, they call me strict sometimes, but this is why I'm so hot on kindness being the number one priority. And the way we speak to people and the way we again, like those beliefs, like you went to that group for help, you needed some support, and it just wasn't there for you. So that instilled a belief in you then that then impacted your mental health moving forward. And this is why, like, I'm so passionate about the way that kids speak to each other. And this is why one of the reasons why I took Hallie out of her initial school that she was at, for that reason, is because I could see the change in the dynamics within the playground. I could see they were having a negative impact on her. Now, I took her out, home educated her for a bit, and now she's at another school, but she absolutely loves that school, and she's got so much resilience within her that she removes herself from any situation where there's a negative conversation. And I pride her for that. And this is why I want to help not only women to heal, because I wholeheartedly believe that once you help the woman to heal and to feel empowered and to live her best life, she then impacts on her children.
Absolutely.
And then her children then go on to impact their children, and it's like that constant building up of those dominoes, because with all the dominoes that have been knocked, it end in generational trauma.
Definitely. And I'm just going to quickly pick up on, just before we go, before we came into the interview, we had a little bit of a chat about inside the manosphere. You're talking there about how children, PC or PC, to be or not to be, how they're speaking to one another. Now, if you've not yet, you're yet to watch the documentary, aren't you, Reanne?
But I've heard little bits about it.
Honestly, I mean, you probably are very much aware of this anyway, but you go and watch that. That's influencing young men. It's influencing young men, and the way they speak. Oh my word! There's going to be a constant battle, and it does come. I mean, I'm fortunate that they have zero effect on my lads. My youngest being 20, my eldest being 33. And my middle one, I better not leave him out. Go, told you I wasn't your favourite, mummy.
And that's then one of his beliefs that will be ingrained, and then quite effective moving forward.
Siblings, they make me, you're adopted, no, you're adopted. All of that, it's great to watch. It's great to watch. But you're talking about how children are speaking to one another. We're trying to break the cycles, but there is so many influences out there who are going to make that an ongoing battle. And
the amount of times that I hear weirdo and stupid are phenomenal. And every single time I hear it, I pick them up. Go and sit in that corner and reflect on what you've just said and the words that we use in my house. And then we sit and we have a conversation about it, and we resonate why it's not acceptable. And I'm gradually phasing all the kids out now, but because I feel like that and it's not because I don't enjoy the childcare. Like I loved it, and I've loved it for so many years, but I feel like there's a bigger purpose in me, and I feel
Absolutely.
Not only getting to one small group of kids, I feel like there's masses of women and masses of children that I need to reach. For that reason, is because I know that I can connect with both. Don't get me wrong, I work with men as well.
I think you're on your way there, girl. I do. Right, I'm going to call this to an end, because otherwise
we've spoken so long.
You've got a school run to do soon. Do you have any final message for anyone listening to this today?
I do, actually, and I'm wearing it. So.
Oh, you're wearing it? Oh.
Yeah. Can you read that?
I can see. Nope, can't see it at all. I can see your door handle, darling.
Oh, okay. Oh, hang on, I'll move over a little bit. Self-love.
Does it say love yourself?
Love yourself. Self-love is the best love. And anybody says that self-love is selfish, it's not. It's completely selfless, because the more that you can love yourself, the more love that you've got to give to everybody else. It's just, that is the biggest thing, and the biggest battle that I came over myself as well. And even just wearing this hoodie for the first time, I felt like a twit wearing it. And then I thought, now I've got comfortable wearing it. Like, everybody needs to know that you come first, put yourself as a priority.
Definitely.
In every aspect.
boundaries, healthy lifestyles, not just a little 2 minutes in the bath. You, the
Yeah.
whole of you. Reanne,
Yeah.
it's been amazing. It's been fascinating and it's been so informative. Thank you so much for joining me today on
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Good luck with all your ventures, and I'm sure I'll see you at some point in the future.
You definitely will. Take care. Thank you.
See